everyone, welcome to the Voice Mood. I'm your host, Olivia Peck, your local millennial voice teacher. Do you have singing questions? Maybe you just want to sing a little bit better than before. You are okay with your voice, but you don't love it. You're a little confused. You feel like you can sing, technically, but you're just not sure if you're doing it right. Doesn't sound right. Well, ask your questions in the chat. I will do my best to answer them as a voice teacher. I've been teaching singing for about 10 years now, and I really love it. People from all around the world will take lessons with me. So I'm really excited to be here. I do this almost every Thursday. So go ahead and ask your questions. I'm here for you, and I want to know what you're wondering. No question is a dumb question. Okay? All right. And we have some questions from the week. Not a whole lot, but a couple from one of our viewers. So let's check out this question right here. This says, thanks, Olivia. Personally, I never had a teacher. Taught myself using online resources. My problem is one of the things you mentioned. I can sing some rock tunes, but what I truly want is to sing some power metal. Okay. However, I'm not sure my voice is built for that genre. I've been singing for years now, and I know most of my limits. I might invest into lessons for this reason now, though. Thanks again for the information. So this is from a recent video where I say, hey, how do you know when you need voice lessons? And I give some reasons. So yeah, this is a perfect example of, you feel like you have a pretty good sense of your voice, but you're really not sure what the next step is. Yeah, I would suggest voice lessons. But here's what I would suggest. If you feel like you're a lighter voice, you want to sing power metal, that's a lot of grit. It's probably some distortion, maybe a little bit of screaming, some rocking out, okay? That requires learning different sounds, different techniques, and it's going to change throughout your range. So if you have questions about singing rock music, if this is something you're wondering, go ahead and ask some specifics in the chat or whatever you're wondering. But I'm going to talk about Chris's question right now. So basically, if you want to learn a more gritty style, yes, you need to take some things into account. What is your range? What is the most money part of the easiest part of your range to sing? Do you have a heavy voice? Do you have a light voice or something in the middle? If you have a heavier voice, it's going to be easier for you probably to bring that weightiness of a voice. I can't really do it because I don't have a heavy voice, but people like Teddy Swims where they have this heavy voice and they have that power naturally. It's easier to sing with that full sound up high. Now, if you have a lighter voice, like Taylor Swift, I would say has a little bit of a lighter voice maybe, or Michael Jackson is said to have a lighter voice. That's where you're going to leverage those mixed voice techniques. So that's what I recommend. If you have a lighter voice and you're trying to sing rock, even metal, really tap into those mixed voice techniques. There's lots of videos on it. I have some videos on mixed voice, and that's actually how I personally approach rock music. So check it out. Okay. Mixed voice, my favorite exercise for mixed voice is meow, 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 meow. But there are some other ones as well. And we can talk more about mixed voice if you are curious about it today. I know we had some people inquiring about that as per usual. So let me know. All right, we have a question in the chat ski. All right. I have a question. When just singing songs, especially when performing them at home, should I stay in my comfort zone while working on mix because I focused on mix for 6 years? LOL. It just depends on if you need to stay in your comfort zone. Do you feel like your comfort zone is really perfected or really versatile? So the comfort zone is a great springboard, right? So if you feel like that's really comfortable, it's a little bit easier to slide up or slide down from it, like, but if that comfort zone, that middle range or that like easier range to stay in is still shaky, or you're still feeling strained, or you're still not able to bring out your mix there, I don't know, it might be harder to go into that stretch place. Like, it's easier to slide up or slide down from a comfortable part of your range. That's my take on it. But if you're getting stuck, my advice is, if you're ever getting stuck, to just play to your strengths. Okay, play to your strengths always. It's a good gateway into so if you know where your comfort zone is, that's a really good first step. Okay, let's go to the next question from the week. Thanks for the information, Olivia. It's really helpful. I definitely have a light voice. It is not loud or harsh at all. I'm actually louder in head voice than chest or mix. It is soft all the time, even if I use twang. Oh, and I cannot use any kind of distortion to save my life. Sorry, I'm giving my dog a treat. Okay, so since this commenter, I haven't heard them sing, a lot of the times I get this comment where they say, my mix is very weak, my mix is very light, I can't do distortion. Just know that it can be very difficult to mimic sounds like this. It can be very difficult to mimic distortion from watching a video, or to mimic a mixed voice from watching a video, because everyone's sensation of mixed voice is kind of described differently. So that's where, if I have a student and I'm listening to them say, okay, I'm going to do my mixed voice. Okay, go ahead. They might be doing what they think is mixed voice, but actually it's super nasally. It might be really nasally, or it might be too much head voice, too much air, or we might find out, hey, it sounds like your vocal folds might be a little raspy, and that makes these things very difficult. If you're someone who deals with some raspiness, that's going to affect your voice. But to say, you can't do something, I still hold out hope for you, unless, you have an instructor, or for sure you can't make those sounds. There's a lot of workarounds. For instance, I have students all the time where I'll try the meow, 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 which is my very favorite mixed voice, one of my favorite mixed voice sounds, but it doesn't work for everyone. It doesn't. Like, for instance, the meow, 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 meow. That exercise for mixed voice doesn't work for me. I don't like it. It makes me feel strained. So we got to find the right exercise for your voice that kind of works with what you have going on, if that makes sense. So something to think about, folks. But it's a really good comment. I love it when y'all ask your questions. So this is something that's a really common issue. So if you have a question about singing, go ahead and drop it in the chat. I love to hear from you. I've got a lot of topics that I can bring up from this week of teaching voice lessons. This was a pretty packed week for me, and I had a lot of fun. And I really focused on vowels this week with everyone, and precision, because you really can't go wrong with focusing on that. There was something that happened today in a lesson, actually, that I want to bring up. So I was with a student, and we were trying to do some mixed voice, or we were trying to sing and mix and head voice and all the voices, whatever. And it was kind of sounding not very precise. And I said, you know, it's pretty common when you're a really talented musician. This actually happened with a couple people today. You're really talented. You're really good at instruments, but with voice, it's easy to make a sound when you sing, right? Ah, it's not as easy to be precise as a singer, to be rhythmic, to land on the note straight on, to hold a note and stay on that note for the duration of the note. It's not as easy to make a pure vowel. And this actually goes into this question we have here. I still have to think when I sing and mix, which is annoying. Yes, so this is such a great comment. Singing well, getting in a habit of singing in a certain way takes concentration. And it's way easier to do it, to learn a new technique, whether it's singing in mixed voice or I heard that you settled down, having correct rhythm, not speeding up, not slowing down, when you focus on one thing at a time. When you sing, you're thinking of keeping the rhythm, you're thinking of your vowels, you're thinking about which voice you're going to use, chest voice, mixed voice, head voice, which one you're going to use. And all of them have to be learned separately and be able to go on autopilot, if that makes sense. You're literally like stitching together all these motor memories, these motor muscle memories here. And that can take time. So it's a lot more effective when you can really zero in on each of those things one at a time. What are those things? I will definitely make a video about this at some point, but here are the different things to learn how to do one at a time. Breathe. Okay? The speed of your air. Lip trills are great for that. Another one would be, your voices, head voice, mixed voice, chest voice, like we said. Another one would be rhythm. Another one would, so being able to go, okay, this is the full value of the note. I heard that you settled down, that you found a girl, instead of I heard that you settled down, that being able to hold the notes for the full value. Tempo, rhythm, having a sense of internal rhythm. All these things need to kind of be stitched together, but they need to be practiced separately, which is hard to do as an adult, I think, and it's hard to do as a kid too. Kids are used to breaking stuff down. They're breaking down words with the letters. They're breaking down how to read stuff out loud, like they're taught to read ahead. They're reminded of fundamentals all the time, but as adults, we have to do that too, and we learn new stuff. Like I tried to go bowling the other day. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a natural bowler. And it reminded me of when you learn something new, you have to learn first, you have to practice this going totally straight by itself until you can do that on autopilot. Blah, blah, blah. I digress. I love talking about bowling, apparently. All right, so here's a good little comment. I've actually considered quit singing sometimes because I'm better at instruments. Singing isn't natural to me. Totally understand. But I hope you don't give up. Singing, I heard somebody say one time, it's easy to sing, technically. Anybody can make a sound, but it's a little more difficult to be a really good singer. It's difficult to be really, really good. But it shouldn't discourage you because you know your voice really well. You use it every day, and you can get to know your voice more just by talking. So rest assured that you have a fount of information because it's you. It's you. You know yourself. It's a little easier with some help, but exploring your voice goes a really long way. Another thing that I would say helps is actually doing the same thing a lot of times. So even if you're going kind of not in the most perfect direction, you're like, I don't know where to start. If you do something consistently, you're going to see improvement. You're going to see improvement. I see it happen a lot. Um, I will tell you this. The most transformative things I see with singing with my students are the people who are willing to try stuff, even if they feel like they're jumping into the deep end. They don't really know what they're doing. The people who don't excel quite as quickly usually are pretty hesitant. They're kind of questioning everything, which is fine. You should question stuff, but you should question stuff and still put yourself out there. Still take a jump, still try that weird noise and see what happens. Because you're not going to grow unless you start to do things a little differently. Unfortunately, I wish it weren't the case because it's hard to do it. It's hard to change habits. And you have to remember, singing is a motor memory. It's a muscle memory. So even if you learn how to do it correctly, even if though you do it one time and you're like, ooh, that sounds really good. Okay, but you have to do it that way a bunch of times so your body knows what to do. And that's kind of the tough thing about it. But that's why you shouldn't feel crazy if you're like, oh, I could do it that one time, but I can't do it today. It might not be muscle memory yet to just kind of pop around and do all these different voices. Hope that makes sense. Anyways, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. I love to know what you're wondering and see what you think about singing, questions you have about singing. I will refer to, I did a little poll on the posts on my YouTube channel, and I asked what you were wondering about singing, and I put vocal health, being confident on stage, chest voice, mixed voice, and head voice, and there was one other one. But I think the biggest one was chest voice, mixed voice, and head voice. So I talk about this a lot on the channel, but basically chest voice is similar to your low speaking voice when it's really relaxed, really relaxed. Some people have a more soft speaking voice, so it might not be completely accurate to say, oh, that's your chest voice, but it's basically that low full voice, and it lives more in your low range. Your head voice is that ooh T sound. If you do oh like a sigh, that is tapping into your head voice. Oh, and then mixed voice is that pingy, bright, yay sound. Wow. That would be mixed voice. It's similar to your speaking voice because your larynx is relaxed. That's what they say scientifically, like what makes it mixed voice. And your soft palate isn't quite as lifted. It's still lifted a little bit. But it's a little more relaxed. Your larynx a little bit more relaxed. And it generally lives in the middle of your range, middle to high. Although you can sing like your head voice, pretty low. You can bring your chest voice as high as it's comfortable. You can do your mixed voice if as much as it's comfortable throughout your range. It's not limited to a certain part of your voice. Something else that's really important to remember is there's crossover, okay? A really good point made by Emily Kristen Moore. She's a voice teacher and she was on Broadway. Like, she's a great resource. She's really smart, smart singer and teacher. You've probably seen her on TikTok. And she's talking about how some voice teachers say mixed voice is like a register where you've got like chest voice is a low register and head voice is a high register and mixed voice is a middle register. And I can totally see that being kind of confusing. But the reality is it is technically all one voice. You know, it's the same vocal folds. It's the same voices you use for your speaking voice. It's technically all the same thing. It's just how are we using those muscles? And if I say, oh, I'm singing in mixed voice, it doesn't mean that I can't blend a little head voice in it, like, I would say that's like a little bit of a blend, if that makes sense. So there is crossover. And at the end of the day, what it's really used for, to when we talk about mixed voice, chest voice, and head voice, is a tool to kind of put a name to the sensation and the sound that you're feeling, so that when we put a name to it, you're aware of it and you can hone it and you can make it muscle memory. That's the purpose of it to me. It's not to, rate people on how good they are at chest voice, mixed voice, or head voice. It's a tool, it's a vocabulary word, so you can put a name to the type of sound, the style you're singing in. If that makes sense, I hope it does. But I do like to say that because some people think, oh, I'm not a good singer if I can't do all those voices. No, you can be an amazing singer and not even know what those are. It's just a way to describe singing and how to sing. It's hard to find pop covers done by baritones. I agree. I just did a few weeks ago a playlist for baritones and basses where nothing goes above an E3. E4. So that's the E above middle C. If you don't know what that means, that's totally fine. But I made a playlist. It's probably buried in my YouTube channel. I will link it at the end of this and the show notes and everything in the comments. But it is hard to find lower songs for male presenting voices. So that's why I made that playlist. And that's why if you are a true baritone, please make some covers. Please, for the baritones out there, because it would be great to have more low sounds. So low singers. What am I saying? I don't know. Why do you think baritones are uncommon in pop music now when it's the most common male voice type? I think it's a fad. When we were in the 40s, it was more common to have bass singers who are popular. I think it's just the culture is getting higher and higher. I saw someone say that. It's just what is happening right now. It's popular to sing really high if you're a dude. That it's just popular. I think it might swing in the other direction. I think it's going to take probably a really popular low voice to push that. I mean, when you think about that whisper singing style that we can't avoid now, I've been staring for some time. That totally became popular, in my opinion, from Billie Eilish and the people who jumped on that bandwagon. That was not so much a thing a few years ago. So people go with the trends. They go with the trends. I mean, when you think about Britney Spears era, oh, baby, baby, a lot of them had pretty nasally voices. I just think it's a trend. And again, if you're a bass singer, I think you should make music and embrace the lower voice, become super popular, and then our baritones and basses will have some songs to sing. But don't feel discouraged. If you are a lower voice, whether you're female or male presenting voice, don't be discouraged too much, because there are tons of people who have lower voices, just because you don't hear them all the time on the radio, who perform everywhere. I work with a lot of singer-songwriters who are performing live, and we find their key for them, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what. No one is sitting in the audience going, oh, this is not in the original key. Make it lower, make the song lower. What matters is that it's comfortable. You can make it great in your voice. And there's a really great car saying that my boyfriend says. He's like, it's not about how fast the car can go, it's about how loud the car is, or how much it sounds like it's working really hard. when you drive it. It's like, it's cool. That's what people love about driving cars. If they're car people, they love hearing the car really working hard. It's same with our voice. If it sounds like you're really working for it, even if you're not, but if you're really in that difficult part of your range, that's fun to listen to when people are singing stuff challenging. And it doesn't matter if that for you is lower than someone else, if that makes sense. Pavarotti actually would do this thing where he would make it look like he was in a lot of pain while he was singing because he got more applause. So, something to think about. I thought about taking country songs, most of them are baritones, and making them pop. I think that's a great idea. Honestly, I think that's a wonderful idea, and you should do it because there are more country artists. From my perspective, I could be wrong about this. I don't necessarily know all the music in the whole entire world, but I would definitely say country songs, there seem to be more low songs. So if you have a lower voice, yeah, think about doing some country songs even just for practice. Great point. If you have any questions, guys, don't feel discouraged from asking a question. Feel free to ask questions. I do this almost every week on Thursday, and it's always so random, the questions I get, so don't be afraid. Ask whatever. We've been talking about vowels, different voices, range, all these things. So please feel free to ask, and I will do my best to answer. And thank you for tuning in. I love doing this. It's very fun for me. And so thank you for tuning in. What else were people asking on the YouTube channel when I did that poll? Let's see what it is. Oh God, it was something about feeling confident when you're singing. That was one people were curious about. And the best I can do for that is, really, really, really get out there, really do it. Okay? I know it's hard to do at first, but you got to rip that Band-Aid off. If you really want to sing, you really want to perform, rip the Band-Aid off. Just rip it off. Just jump out there, make a song, sing a song, get on stage at karaoke. 8% wanted to learn about vocal health. Singing vowels was the next one. So singing vowels, this is very important. If you do anything muscle memory wise, I would say get your singing vowels down, okay? It's a blessing when I have a student who did choir or are already used, or maybe speak a couple languages. They're used to making different sounds, different shapes of vowels. Let me give you an example. So for the E vowel, when I say E sounds like that, E. When I sing, I don't go E. No, I go E. It's different. So when you want your E vowel, you want to train your E vowel to be E, a little taller. I'm lifting my soft palate a little bit. My tongue is relaxed. E. Guess what vowel is identical to E? Ooh. Ooh. The tongue in the back for ooh is the exact same. So if you got E, you've got ooh, just move your lips. Ooh. Okay? So there's the E and ooh. Again, I didn't go ooh. I did ooh. Different. There's a little more height to it. Another vowel, ah. So I don't go ah, ah. A lot of people with ah is a tough one. It's so open-ended. Literally, it's so open that a lot of people move around when they do ah, like the ah will kind of move around. Make sure your ah like locks. So ah, you can also do a dark ah. Oh. I'm trying to think of a song with an ah. Dream on, dream on. If I did dream on, dream on, dream on. That's like my ah, speaking ah would not sound right. Dream on, dream on. That would be the dark ah. The on. Hear the difference? They're both fine, but one kind of sounds better for the style. And you also want to make sure that you don't go, dream on, dream on. You put the N on the very last minute and you want the ah to be frozen. Dream on. If you got what I was just saying, it would really help. Like if you didn't know that before, it would be very helpful. That's a secret to a lot of good singing is just good vowels. Good vowels and keeping them locked in, pure. Okay, O vowel, O. We don't go O, O. It's O. It's just one sound. O instead of O, O. So those are the singing vowels. You want to learn how to just do them. Just do them so you don't have to think about them when you're singing. Yes, they're a little bit exaggerated, what I just did, but not too much. You'll find that people still know exactly what you're singing and hear you very clearly if you do those exaggerated vowels. Okay, something to think about. If you have questions about vowels, though, specifically, please ask in the comments because I love talking about vowels. It's the best pastime. Thank you. Lots of questions from Chris, as per usual. Would love to. Hopefully, this encourages others to ask questions. But if you watch this at a later time, you can ask them in the comments, and I'll answer it next week. I want to learn to rap and scream too because I want a combo of styles. Yeah, that's a good plan. It's always great to what we call cross-train, so learn how to do different styles. I recently was just becoming so grateful for the classical training that I grew up with because classical singing teaches you a lot about that breakdown. So breaking down the vowels by themselves, the rhythm by itself, the music by itself, the tempo, all these things by itself. Understanding key signatures and time signatures, you can't learn too much, and I apply all that stuff to singing contemporary style, singing microphone singing. And it's important to note that, and I can teach you that stuff too. And I love to impart that information without having to go to college and do all of that. But it really does help. I have kind of complained about my classical singing background, for lack of better words, because of the very different breathing techniques in classical and contemporary microphone pop rock singing styles. It's pretty different. And the implementation of singing in that poppy voice is not really used in the same way at all in classical singing, like not at all. So it was a very big adjustment for me to the point where I didn't even understand almost what the point was in my classical journey because it really threw me off to sing pop music and other styles. But now that I can do both, I am grateful. I am grateful because of learning the fundamentals of music, which are important. They're very important. So anyway, I digress. You got questions? Please feel free to ask them in the chat. I'm loving your questions, guys. Love the questions. We had some good questions from this week, and I'm just excited to be here. So thank you. And if you're interested in taking a lesson, you know that the links and stuff are in the description of the video, and you just fill out the lesson request form, and the email goes straight to me, and I go, oh, hello, and I answer it. And I definitely have room right now. I'm getting a little full, but I definitely have room for half hour or hour, depending on the day, sessions. So it's really fun. And I do free consultations. So if you just want to get your feet wet, it's great. Everyone who takes a lesson gets free access to my course, which is just great because I go through like all this fundamental type stuff in the course. You can download it, have it forever, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I just want to tell you because I got to tell you. Oh, but I can't forget this. I almost always forget this. If you live kind of far away, you can also send me a voice memo on my website. And it's really great because I can just respond to you and give you some pointers. Lots of people do that, especially if they live kind of far away. So anyway, yes, great questions all around. Let's talk about one of the other things that were in the poll, vocal health. Only 8% wanted to learn about vocal health. Okay. Just kidding. I understand. So your voice, shocker, is part of your body. Okay? It's amazing how when you improve your health, whether you're drinking more water or you're getting more sleep, things like that, how much it can actually improve your voice. Things like drinking not enough water, having a dry voice can cause your vocal cords to be dry. It can also cause them to be inflamed if they're getting irritated. An inflamed voice, not good for singing. Very uncomfortable, and it's your vocal cords will not vibrate in the way you need them to, and you're going to think, why can't I sing in tune? Well, you might have a raspy voice. Your voice might just be not vibrating real great. So let's get that inflammation down, that type of thing. But don't take ibuprofen for that, because that can actually damage your voice if you sing while on ibuprofen. I know that's confusing. It's better just let the swelling go down, rest your voice. I remember in college, I had a heck of a time, y'all. I was living in Michigan, where I'm from, and I was going to school. It's winter, it's freezing. The air is so dry. I'm trudging to choir rehearsal. I'm singing through choir rehearsal. I'm going to my voice lessons, exhausted. I'm doing my homework, exhausted. I basically had a double major, and it's all crammed into 4 years, music and education. And my voice was tired. And I wondered, why all of a sudden am I having intonation, meaning pitch issues? I'm having pain. I'm really struggling with my tone. And it's because I was exhausted. So taking care of yourself is really important. Vocal health is really important. The big ones are rest, drinking water, and rest, getting sleep, making sure you're just overall healthy. I don't want to say too much because I'm not a doctor, okay? But there's a lot of things that go into it. Making sure that if you're taking drying medications to overcompensate with water, that type of thing, okay? And a lot of people, a lot of singers who maybe don't have a lot of training, which is fine. You can still be amazing if you don't have a lot of training, but they don't realize that, you really have to rest your voice. Just like any muscle, when you work out, you need to have rest days. You have to recover. It's not like, oh, I'll just push through it. No, it's part of being a singer is knowing, oop, I'm feeling a little tired. I have to rest. A lot of famous singers, they're wearing these scarves. They're not going to loud bars or places. They're speaking in this high voice because they're trying to save their voice. It's not just about how you sing, it's also knowing how to save your voice too. And it's really overlooked. It's really an overlooked thing, and I wish it wasn't. And there's lots of things, autoimmune, different things that cause inflammation. So just something to think about, and I hope that resonates with those who struggle with it. Love the questions, guys. Keep them coming, especially new people, especially newbies who are wondering about singing. I would love to know what you're thinking and see if I can help you out. Singing can be fun, but it can also be very frustrating. It can be very frustrating, and I totally understand. Trust me. Oh my gosh. I just remember, when I was trying to find my mixed voice, sitting in my car, singing this one Christina Aguilera song. Hurt was the song. And I could not get it. And it was driving me insane because her voice, I was mimicking her voice way too much. she's got this, seems like it was yesterday when I saw your face. I don't know. It's like, that sounded kind of like Adele or something. But it's just so, like almost, it's a different sound. Okay? I don't sound like Christina Aguilera at all. I sound a little bit more like a Disney princess. So I was struggling. I was mimicking her a little too much. Once I was able to sing it in my voice, went a lot better. So if you're struggling with mixed voice, think about your speaking voice. Use your speaking voice as a jumping off point. And I know I talk about mixed voice a lot, but that's just something that happens here on The Voice Mood, okay? We talk a lot about the different voices, and it's very fun. So if you're wondering about the different voices, please ask it in the chat. I'd love to address warm-ups, questions about pitch or singing precisely, whatever you're wondering. But if there are no further questions, I might just end this one a tad early. I've had a lot of fun. And so I'll give it a couple more minutes if you have any questions. But if not, I will shut it down. Here's a question. What is your voice type? I think I'm considered a soprano still, but I would say I sing a lot of mezzo-y stuff. See, even though I'm a voice teacher, it's not as important to me at this point in my life to classify my voice. But I think this is a very good question. Okay, what is your voice type? I think everybody should start when they start singing. They should be classified. I think it's great because then you'll know, oh, wait, I'm a tenor. Oh, great. Or, oh, I'm a baritone. Oh, great. You kind of know where your zone is. But over time, it's going to change. It's going to change. Your range is going to get bigger or smaller as you get older. And it might go, get bigger and then smaller again. So at this time in my life, I would say, yeah, I'm more of a soprano, but I find my voice gets lower and lower and I can sing lower and lower. So sometimes I feel more like an alto or mezzo soprano. Great question, Maria. Great to see ya. Are straw exercises okay to do daily? And if yes, for how long approximately? So straw exercises are really great for a lot of different things. I would say yes, it is okay to do daily, and I would encourage it if it feels like it's helping you and it feels comfortable. If you don't feel super fatigued after doing a straw exercise or singing with the straw is not tiring you out, go for it. Go for it. Do it daily. I think it's a wonderful thing. And for how long? I would just say use it as a warm-up. So sing through a song with it. Use it if you're singing and you feel fatigued, grab the straw, maybe do it on a straw. If you don't need to rest quite yet, use a straw to substitute instead of singing. You could do a few exercises. I would say just don't do it for more than, if you're only warming up with straw exercises, no more than 20 minutes. It depends on your stamina. And I'm not sure what your stamina is, but just definitely no longer than an hour or something. Feel it out. I would go based on how you feel. Anyway, but the straw exercises are great and different than other SOVT exercises. So something comparable to a straw exercise would be the lip trill is similar to a straw because they're both the same type of exercise, I guess, mechanically in a way. So the thing that's great about the straw is when you make that shape with your lips, you're inherently going to lift your soft palate, which is very important to singing. So straw exercises are really great. Great question. Great question. Thank you all for jumping in. All right, Chris, what has been the hardest thing for you to teach as a teacher? Oh, good question. Gosh, the hardest thing? The hardest thing is when it's not necessarily limited to a technique style. It's more a lost in translation thing. It happens every once in a while. I might say, make this sound, and they'll do a totally different sound. So an example would be like if I go, do an E like this, E, and they go, then I know, and this is maybe after doing it a few times or something, and it's still something is not, I need to explain it differently. That can be tough if it's a consistent thing with a certain student because it'll take longer to get through stuff. Usually, it's not the best example I can give on that, but it happens. It happens where it's just a language barrier, and I don't mean language as in they speak another language or something. It's just the vocabulary is not. We're not on the same wavelength or something. So that would be the easiest thing. When I taught in elementary school, it was definitely people being wild. Okay? Kids are a little wild sometimes. Middle school, a little wild. And they don't really care quite as much about the sound. When I taught middle school choir, it was definitely like some kids were in that class and they didn't want to be in that class. They just got put in it. And they really didn't like to sing. And that was tough. That was tough sometimes. But I don't teach in the schools quite so much anymore. Any other questions, guys? This has been really fun. I think my dog wants to go for a walk ski, one of my dogs. And so I think I'm going to take him out. But I really enjoyed this. If you have any other questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments, and I'll answer them next week on the live. All right. Bye. Oh, wait, I have one more question. I will answer this while my dog is he's like, okay, fine. I answer one more question. How do you ear train yourself to hear whether you or someone is pinching during speech or singing? Oh, so you can tell when someone is pinching if it sounds like they're constricting their voice. So that sound, if I were to go, oh, say, can you see by the dawn? I'm sounding pinched. If it's sounding pushed, so if someone is going, oh, say, can you see? That can also indicate pinching, I guess, in a way. It's like there's tension there. If someone is speaking pinched, yeah, I guess you just get used to listening for that. Yeah. How do you ear train yourself? Yeah, I think I'm going to be honest, I'm not quite sure how to answer this, but I'll tell you exactly what goes through my head. So if I think someone's pinching, it's because the way that I teach a lot of the time or listen to people is I'm kind of in my mind and in my body kind of mimicking them a little bit. In fact, if let's say I listen to Benson Boone, I'm not quite sure what he's doing. It's usually because I cannot mimic him. So I'm thinking, ooh, to make that sound, you would have to squeeze. If I were to talk like that, I'd have to squeeze my voice, if that makes sense. And so I think it just comes with understanding how the voice works in your own voice, and then being able to therefore hear it in others as well. I hope that helps. It's kind of a tricky thing. That's a really good question. Okay. Well, Tony relaxed, so I'll answer one more. Hi. All right. So what is the main difference of a lyric baritone versus tenor too? Oh my goodness. Okay. So first, let's break down this question. Lyric baritone. Baritone is a voice type. It goes, bass is the lowest, Baritone is above that. Tenor is above that. They're all male presenting voices. Okay. Tenor is the highest male presenting, bass is lowest, baritone's in the middle. Okay. Tenor 2, tenor is the highest, as I said. That's referring, tenor 2 is generally a term we use when we're talking about a choir setting, a choral setting. So you've got maybe a bunch of different voice parts that are harmonizing, if you can follow me. You've got soprano, soprano 1, soprano 2, alto, alto 1, alto 2, tenor, tenor 1, tenor 2. Okay? It's typically, you don't really use tenor 2, lyric baritone interchangeably, because lyric baritone typically is referring to an operatic term, which is not the same as choir terms necessarily, although sometimes we kind of use things interchangeably, like mezzo, soprano, and alto. If you can follow me, great. If not, please don't worry about it. It's not really important to being a beginning singer at all. It's just kind of jargon stuff. So lyric baritone is referring to a really big voice, a really expressive, big, maybe heavier voice. It's referencing lyrical music, I guess. I'm trying to think of an example. Like there's also lyric sopranos. It's a voice type inside of a voice type. So baritone would be like the lower voice, but then lyric would be referring to the type of singer. So almost like a timbre. It's warmer or bigger or whatever. I'm not quite certain on the definition of lyric baritone, but they're kind of two different zones. Tenor 2 is referring more to choir. And lyric baritone is like a big baritone voice, and it's typically referred to an operatic style voice singer. Typically meaning, like, I'm pretty sure always. So anyways, that it would be, I guess, the difference. Hope that helps. I don't know. All right, y'all. This has been this got wild at the end in the best way. I love this. I am going to jump off, but I've had a lot of fun. And if you'd like to take a lesson with me, there'll be a little end screen that's like, check the description. And so you can check it if you want. Please feel free to like this video if you feel like you are the intended audience for it. Share it with a friend if you think that'd be a good voice teacher for them, or don't. Or if you don't want to, it's fine. And be sure to subscribe. And there was somebody recently said they were trying to find me, and they typed in millennial teacher or something voice, because I always say that. So make sure you hit the notification bell and subscribe so you don't forget, I guess, how to find these videos. If you want, like, yeah, it's because YouTube is just kind of savage, and it'll even if you subscribe to someone, it won't always show their videos to you, or they'll show them too much. It's wild. Okay, he's trying to ask, knowing the line between heavy tenor and high baritone. It's to me, yeah. So heavy tenor. I'm just not sure if I would say that tenor 2 is considered heavy tenor. I don't think so. I think it's just a lower tenor part in choir. It doesn't necessarily. Lyric baritone is referring to the color, the type of baritone. And I would not say that lyric baritone means high baritone. I don't believe that's what it means, but maybe lyric baritones are known for singing higher than other baritones. I've never known that to be true, but I could Google it and be wrong. Okay. So that's a good thing to point out, though. So thank you, Elaine. Always love having you in the lives. Thank y'all very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.